Sophie Cunningham owned Jacy Sheldon from the same game that Marina Mabrey did the massive body slam into Caitlin Clark on. She still owns Jacy. She still owns Jacy Sheldon. And what's great is she's got a great sense of humor about it, and she's not shy about it. I mean, what are they going to do?
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
This is kind of crazy. This one is kind of crazy. When you get Sophie Cunningham to sign a Jacy Sheldon rookie card with property of, that is crazy. That is crazy. Property of Sophie Cunningham.
Every sport has that player. Not the leading scorer, not the flashiest dribbler, but the one who makes opponents think twice before they take liberties with the star. In hockey, they call them enforcers.
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon. Again, as Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional.
She's the problem. She is the problem.
In the NBA's golden era, it was the guy who'd step in before Michael Jordan hit the floor too many times. In the WNBA, that role has been vacant.
Sophie Cunningham would take her rightful place as the Indiana Fever enforcer, and I believe took the first step to her becoming the second most popular player in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere. Arby's, walking in. She's the best looking woman walking into these WNBA arenas. I mean, black belt Barbie, anybody? Black belt Barbie.
Until Sophie Cunningham decided to fill it. It wasn't planned. It wasn't some PR stunt. It was raw, in-the-moment basketball instinct, mixed with just the right amount of attitude.
Sophie Cunningham has been Caitlin Clark's biggest cheerleader and defender.
And it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as.
The sad truth about this video we just watched is she is the first WNBA player I have seen to openly say this out loud, publicly, and not be ashamed in declaring it.
And all it took was one hard foul, a signature on a rookie card, and a perfectly timed rivalry to send the internet into meltdown.
Caitlin Clark is the reason we have been talking about the WNBA. Hate it or love it, it's true. I don't believe that Caitlin Clark necessarily wants that title that everyone has been giving to her. I think she just wants to be appreciated. And Sophie Cunningham, she just seems like such a real one, such a good friend. I think especially with women, especially elite level athletes, there's a lot of people, women, who will kind of stab you in the back. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment, especially when you're good. But Sophie just seems like such a girl's girl. I really, really like her. Maybe Caitlin Clark should do the next American Eagle campaign, or Sophie Cunningham.
The storyline started like 100 others. A physical game, a few questionable fouls, a superstar under attack. But this time, instead of shrugging it off, the Fever's new sharpshooter decided enough was enough.
And what do you guys think? Do you guys think this means anything? Like, obviously, when you get a Sophie Cunningham sign a Jacy Sheldon card, like, I think we should see that more in sports.
This is hilarious. It really is. Indiana Fever star takes humorous jab at Caitlin Clark villain. You gotta love an Iowa Hawkeyes Wire headline. That's really good. That's Jacy Sheldon. Congratulations. That's all you're known as. The chick that was mean to Caitlin Clark. That's your legacy. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you've been traded, and I don't think you're much of a basketball player.
And she didn't just say it, she wrote it in ink for everyone to see. It was June. Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun. Caitlin Clark already the most talked about rookie in years, was doing what Caitlin Clark does.
Sheldon, who was selected number 5 overall in the 2024 WNBA draft by the Dallas Wings, following 5 seasons at Ohio State, has quickly established herself a very negative opinion for both Hawkeye and Fever fans after her June 17th flagrant 1 on Clark and her eventually uncalled for knee to the right groin area during the July 15 clash in Boston as a member of the Connecticut Sun. By the way, can you stay with the team? You got selected by Dallas. You're already on your 3rd squad in 18 months. God.
Pulling defenders out of position, hitting deep threes, whipping passes that made the highlight reels before the game even ended. And then came the cheap shots. First, a poke in the eye from Jacy Sheldon, just accidental enough to get the benefit of the doubt.
I just think, and you know way better than me,
Yeah.
but like, it just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of
They are, but I
rookies.
just hate that because, like, this is what we've always wanted as a league. So, like, who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally making money from the viewership.
And why bully the person who is like not 100% responsible, but like has a huge role in growing your sport?
Dude, and it literally, like, pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
But obvious enough to make Fever fans roll their eyes. Moments later, Marina Mabrey shoved Clark after the whistle, a move better suited for a football tryout than a basketball court. In most leagues, that would be the cue for referees to clamp down.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, Jacy Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and Jacy are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
But the whistle stayed silent, and that silence was all Sophie Cunningham needed to hear. With the Fever comfortably ahead, she had a choice: let it go or make a statement. Sophie chose option 2. As Sheldon went up for a basket, Sophie wrapped her up in a bear hug and dragged her down.
In the first half, the refs didn't call. Someone should have been thrown out, and the refs did not call it.
Correct. I remember that.
They didn't. And so I was like,
That
all
was when
right.
she got
like,
full body
dude,
chested.
by 3 people.
Yeah.
Like 2 people, they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, if that was anyone else, I would have been booted out of the game. I know that for sure. I'm a little sassy, but like, so are they.
Your leash is shorter though, because they know.
Literally. I don't even have a leash. I just have a freaking collar and a hand on it. Anyway, so there was like 45 seconds left. The girl stole the ball and I was running back and I was like, we're up. I don't need to foul. And I was like, just let her go. And I was like, all right, like, who cares? Last second, intrusive thoughts. I was like, fuck it.
She's got all the aura right now. All of it. Got the podcast and a damn good one. I mean, when's the next podcast drop? News is getting slow. There's got to be at least 3 or 4 good things in every Sophie Cunningham podcast.
That's not a reckless clothesline, not a dangerous throw, just a controlled physical reminder that targeting Caitlin Clark comes with a cost. The refs called it a flagrant 2. The league fined her around $400, but to Fever Nation, it was worth every penny.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmaitland.
Kirtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say?
not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport?
basketball as a whole around the world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching her.
Yeah.
God, I wish we had more teammates, or I wish more teammates of Caitlin Clark would get this fired up when their transcendent superstar, who's now hurt and has missed half the games this year, has been the target, that some of the other players would get a little bit aggressive on behalf of Caitlin Clark. Get in between something. You never, this is in the NBA. Every team in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, I mean, these transcendent stars, it's always the goon, the enforcer. In this case, Sophie Cunningham, I mean, normally these guys, they're not really putting up numbers. The difference here is Sophie Cunningham is a real basketball player and a hell of a good one.
Depending on who you ask, Sophie Cunningham either crossed the line or drew one. To some fans, especially in Connecticut, she was out of control, using force to intimidate a rookie. But to Fever fans, she was the one player in the league willing to actually stand up for Caitlin Clark when the officials wouldn't.
And you got tossed?
And it was 2-on-1. Yeah, I got tossed.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're good. But so in a situation like that, does Caitlin come up to you after and say, like, because the internet whole thing was, look at fucking Sophie sticking up for Caitlin, like, this is dope.
But I was.
No, I know you were.
But in the locker room, I think she was like, finally, you know, like finally someone else. I was like, dude, I got you. Like but I think that kind of had our team come together as a whole. And it's like, no, we gotta have like, it was awesome. Yeah, no, it really was though. Like, I feel like everyone was like, you know, like we do have to protect each other. And
the next morning, social media was divided. ESPN clips debated whether the foul was unnecessary. Analysts argued about sending messages in basketball. And all the while, the Fever's fan base quietly grew louder. Because here's the thing, Caitlin Clark isn't just a great player. She's a ratings magnet, a sellout machine, and the kind of athlete the WNBA needs to protect. But for months, opponents had been getting away with accidental elbows, blindside bumps, and late-game cheap shots. And until Sophie, no one seemed willing to risk a fine to make them stop. The rivalry could have ended there. A hard foul, a fine, a bit of trash talk in the press. But Sophie Cunningham had one more play to run. Fast forward to an Indiana Fever fan event. The mood is light. Fans are lining up for autographs, snapping photos, and chatting about the season. A young Fever supporter slides something across the table, a Jacy Sheldon rookie card. Now, most players would just sign their name and maybe a jersey number. Sophie? She grabbed the pen and wrote in bold letters, "Property of Sophie Cunningham." Not just a joke, not just a signature, a declaration. Lexi Hull, sitting next to her, burst out laughing. The fans in line lost it. And within hours, the photo was everywhere, on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, sports blogs, and meme pages. It wasn't just funny, it was the perfect mix of rivalry, humor, and personality. The kind of thing that turns a player into a cult favorite overnight. From that one autograph, Sophie's popularity exploded. Her Instagram followers jumped from a couple 100,000 to over 1 million. TikTok edits of her highlights started getting millions of views. The Fever shop saw her jersey sales spike, second only to Clark's. Fans began showing up to games with homemade "Property of Sophie Cunningham" signs. Some even started selling unofficial merch with the phrase on it. Sports podcasts dedicated entire segments to the autograph. And this wasn't just Fever fans. Neutral WNBA viewers, people with no team loyalty, were now rooting for Sophie simply because she was unapologetic. Because that's the key. She didn't write the line and then backtrack with a "just kidding" post. She didn't delete it. She didn't soften her stance. Sophie leaned all the way in. Sophie's not just some end-of-bench player trying to make headlines. She's been producing, dropping double-digit points, hitting threes with confidence, and playing tough perimeter defense. Since the All-Star break, she's been one of the Fever's most reliable scorers. On her podcast, she made it crystal clear. The cheap shots at Caitlin Clark are getting old, and she's not here to watch it happen. She openly called out critics who deny Clark is the face of the league, saying, "You're dumb as, well, you can fill in the blank." And she's right. Like her or not, Caitlin Clark has brought record ticket sales, boosted TV ratings, and brought new fans into the WNBA. But with that spotlight comes extra targeting. Sophie's job, at least unofficially, is to make sure the message is clear. If you take a run at Clark, you're going to deal with Sophie Cunningham. Now here's where it gets interesting. Jacy Sheldon isn't even on the Sun anymore. She's with the Washington Mystics, but you can bet the next time the Fever play them, this story will be front and center. Fans will watch every interaction. Cameras will linger a little longer if they bump shoulders. Commentators will bring up the "Property of Sophie Cunningham" moment before tip-off. And that's what makes this bigger than one game. It's now part of both players' legacies. For Sheldon, fair or not, this is a reputation that could follow her for years. For Sophie, it's a brand. The WNBA has always been about skill, strategy, and competition, but in today's sports world, storylines matter just as much as stat lines. Rivalries keep fans invested. They make regular season games feel like must-watch events. The Cunningham-Sheldon saga checks all the boxes. A superstar under fire, Clark, a loyal protector, Sophie, a physical, controversial moment, the foul, a viral follow-up, the autograph. And most importantly, it's authentic. It wasn't cooked up in a marketing meeting. It wasn't staged for a camera. It happened because Sophie Cunningham decided her teammate wasn't going to face it alone anymore. When Sophie signed Property of Sophie Cunningham, it was more than a joke. It was a line in the sand, a warning to the rest of the league, a promise to her teammates, and maybe even the start of something the WNBA hasn't had in a while, a true enforcer era. Because now, opponents know the math. Go after Caitlin Clark, and you get Sophie Cunningham. And for Fever fans, that's not just protection, that's entertainment. So, was it the perfect clapback or did it pour gasoline on the fire? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're Team Sophie, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's see how long she can keep this energy going.